Alright, what is going on? It is Nate, and we're back with another video. It's been a while since I did a sit-down video, but here we are, right? So I was going to do a truck talk video, and my GoPro was on in my backpack the whole time, and so the battery was completely dead when I went to actually film the video. So we're here. Anyways, so today I'm going to talk about, and I have my iPad here, I'll pull that up once I start writing on it, but today we're going to talk about where attention goes, energy flows, right? And so I'm going to kind of cover why this is so important and what it has to do with wealth, with achievement, with goals, with, changing your life, whatever it is you want to do, whatever it is you want to change, whatever it is you want to create. I'm going to kind of go over the topic of how your attention is basically it's your saving grace, right? Like your attention, what you focus on is what you are communicating to God, right? If you are spending all of your time focusing on the good, you are always going to be surrounded with good things, and you are communicating these feelings and these thoughts and these images to God, and then God is bringing more of the same, right? But what a lot of people do is we fall victim to, what's around us that we don't like. We focus on the bad. We focus on what we should have done, what we could have done, all these things, and then guess what? We're just bringing more of the same. And so I'm going to hop over to the iPad now is, just the basic point of, gotta turn on the pen, of where attention goes, energy flows, right? And so when I say energy, right, so this is basically, let me just summarize my beliefs real quick. So I believe that God is everywhere, God is everything. I believe that everything is all made up of the same thing, just at different forms of vibrations. Everything is ultimately the same thing. It's just altered based on, the frequency it's on, the vibration it's on, the level of vibration, the rate of vibration, and then that's what it causes it to appear different to our sensory faculties, right? Which is our sight, see, hear, smell, taste, and touch. So when you understand that everything is all made of the same thing, and it is just our perception or our sensory faculties that pick this up and then communicate it to our mind of what's going on, then you'll understand, okay, if everything is all the same thing, then I can get anything I want, right? I can achieve anything, I can do anything, I can have anything, because ultimately it's all the same, right? And so what you have to realize is your attention, what you focus on, is basically like watering the plant. It's like fertilizer, right? So think of it like this. If you're standing here, right, and you're, you got your eyes right here, and, you're looking, you're focusing, and your attention doesn't have to be what you see with your physical eyes, right? So when I say focusing, I'm meaning mentally, right? Because most of the time you're not really going to focus on something around you that much, because usually you're doing a million different things. But what you're focusing on is what you're constantly thinking about, the image that you're holding in your mind, right? So if you're holding the image of negativity, right? If you're constantly, you see yourself, you see what you messed up on, you see your mistakes, you see what you could have done differently, you see all these things, and it's just driving you crazy. You feel bad, you're disappointed, you could have done better, you missed out, you feel all these negative emotions. And then you feel bad, right? You can feel that. You're like, I don't feel good. Like, I'm not really into it. I'm not feeling it right now. Like, things aren't too hot right now, right? Because you're focusing on that. And guess what happens is as you focus on the bad, it's growing, right? So your attention, this attention right here, this is fertilizer. And the object you're focusing on is energy, right? Energy is always moving into form. Energy is always growing. It is always growing, and it is always taking form based on what we make it, right? So you have to understand, we have this energy flowing into our mind at all times. That's how you're able to think. That's how you're able to live, right? And so if you have this energy flowing into your mind, the energy just is, right? It just is. It's not good or bad. It's not this or that. It just is. And then we choose our thoughts, which then alter the way we feel, which then alters our vibration, which then alters our actions, which then alters our results. Right? And so what happens is people will focus on the negative. They'll focus on what they did wrong. They'll focus on the mistakes. They'll get emotionally involved with that. They'll feel bad about it. They'll feel guilty. And they're causing that to grow. And then guess what? That's going to happen again and again and again and again. And you get stuck in the cycle because you focus on the bad, right? And so now what you have to realize that you're present. I literally have this written right here on the sticky note. It's a reminder. My present situation is a result of my past thinking. My current thinking is creating my future reality, right? So you have to realize that the life you're living in right now is a direct result of where your attention, right? Where this line right here, this line right here, this is your attention, right? So your life right now is a result of what you have been focusing on. That is what you have. Everything you have right now is what you want. Everything that not what you want. Sorry, I was talking about this last night with one of my students or my clients. You don't get what you want, you get what you are. Right? And it sounds so cringy, but it's the truth, because everyone wants more money. Everybody wants a new car. Everyone wants to move. Everyone wants a bigger house, a better house. Everyone wants a business, but no one wants to become who you have to become to have those things. Right? Because the version of you that has the car, that has the $1 million business, that has the house, that has whatever it is you want, is going to be a different version of you, right? He's going to have different thoughts. He's going to have different feelings. He's going to have different actions. He's going to have different habits. So you can't get the thing without becoming the person who has the thing. You can't have millions if you're not the person who can handle it, right? You have to have the habits. You have to have the frequency to back up what it is that you want. And so that's why you work backwards. You focus on what you want, right? So you realize that, okay, if I can focus on, well, those are some big eyes. If I can focus on anything I want, right? Your attention, right here, this is attention, right? If you understand, I can focus on anything I want. Nobody in this entire world can control what I think about except for myself. No one can get into my mind except for myself. Nobody can save you except for yourself. That's the biggest thing I can ever say. Because it's so often that we get into this situation where we're disappointed or we're not doing well, whatever. And it's like we seek these other people to save us. You want to buy the course. You want to buy this and that. And the truth is, it's not the business that's the problem. It's not the business. Your business problems are a reflection of your personal problems. So if you're not happy with your results in your business, you have to take a flip and say, or take a look and say, okay, I'm not happy with this. What does this represent about myself? If these are my results, what have I been thinking? How have I been feeling? How have I been acting? What habits do I have? Okay, let me change that. Let me get these habits. Let me get these thoughts, these feelings, these actions, and I'll get new results. You literally get to pick and choose. And so if you're like, okay, I want to make $1 million by 2026, right? If that's your goal, by the end of 2026. So 16 months or whatever. So if your goal is $1 million, right? And you're focusing on that all the time. You're thinking about it. You're fantasizing about it. You're feeling it. You're trying to take actions toward it. You may not know where to get started, but you're still kind of working toward it. What you are doing as you focus on that, remember, what is your attention? It's fertilizer. It's water. It is causing it to grow. Where attention goes, energy flows. So if you are focusing on yourself as a $1 million version, your $1 million version of yourself, if you are focusing on that all the time, you are causing that version of you to grow, because the amount of brain cells in your mind that have this picture of yourself as that person just continues to grow over and over and over the more and more you think about it, right? So literally your attention is building brain cells. That, it's literally proven. Your attention, what you focus on, builds brain cells, right? So if I showed you this and I was like, what is this? And you didn't know what it was, right? And then you focus on it and you're like, yeah, I don't know. Then I tell you, oh, this is an Apple Pencil. Then you can look at it and you can be like, oh, okay, that's an Apple Pencil. And then next time you see it, you'll know what it is, right? So your attention is then building the brain cells for the recognition of what it is. So as you focus on whatever it is that you want, or whatever you want to achieve, or wherever you want to go, whatever it is you want, as you focus on that, you're basically watering the plant in a way, and you're causing that to grow. You're causing that energy to move into form. You're causing this infinite, I guess, there's so many different words for it, but this infinite intelligence, thinking substance, God. I mean, there's a million different words. It's all referring to the same thing. It's what everything is, right? So whether you refer to it as God or infinite intelligence or thinking substance or the law of vibration, I mean, there's so many different ways to just talk about what it is I'm talking about. But as you understand that your thoughts are what move this into form. Your thoughts are what show God what to do, right? Because God, right, it says in the Bible, ask and you shall, my handwriting is so bad. Ask and you shall receive, right? And so That's not just sometimes, that's not just some things, but the problem is most people don't realize what they're asking for. They don't realize what they're thinking about, what they're imagining, what they're feeling, and that's exactly what they get. And then they're not happy with it, and they don't realize that it's a result of their way they think, act, feel, and the habits they have, right? So you have to realize, okay, if my attention is what causes things to grow, and I have the ability to focus on anything I want, you should probably be very, very careful about where you're spending your time, right? What are you focusing on? Is your focus TikTok? Is your focus on, Netflix? Like, what are you focusing on? Because what you're doing is you're causing that to become part of who you are. You're causing that to grow into your life. And so if you want, to have the $1 million or the $1 million business, or you want to move into the new house, or you want the new car, if you continue to focus on it, your attention is what it raises your level of awareness, right? So, like Bob Proctor said, he said, someone who makes $25,000 a year doesn't make 25 a year because they want to earn 25. They earn 25 because they aren't aware of how to earn 50, right? And so most people are like, well, how do you become aware, right? So you have to understand that the way for you, I'm not going to write this, it's going to take too long. The way for you to achieve whatever it is you want to achieve, if you want to make $1 million by 2027, if that's your goal, the way for you to do that is already existent. The way is already here. You don't have to go and create something new. You just have to be like, okay, this is what I want. You focus on it. God shows you the way, right? So you understand that it's already here. The way for you to get it is already here. It already exists. So all you have to do is focus on it. Focus, focus, focus. But if you're not focusing on it, if you're focusing on the negative things that are happening in your life, if you're focusing on what you don't want, you're focusing on all the things that could go wrong, you're causing those things to grow. And then those are going to move into form, right? So you have to realize that your attention is your most valuable thing. It is the most valuable piece of you. Why do you think social media is free? Why do you think TikTok is free? Why do you think Instagram Reels is free? Why do you think all this stuff is free? And what they're doing is they're fighting for your attention, right? Because when they can have ads pop up on there and you're focused in on TikTok, and then the ad pops up, all of a sudden your attention's on there, right? So what are they doing? What are advertisements? They're paying for your attention. And these social media things, they're free because they want your attention. Because they know if they have your attention, they have you. They can create you, they can change you, they can control you. Because you are simply looking at the screen, reacting to it, and that determines who you are. So you have to protect this with literally all that you have. You have to realize, okay, my attention is literally everything. It is everything. And if I focus on bad, I'm going to get more bad. If I focus on the mistake I made, if I focus on the errors, if I focus on the negativity, if I focus on the potential failures, if I focus on what could go wrong and all the things that could be bad, you're causing that to grow. That is going to happen. But on the other hand, if you focus on the good, you focus on how it can happen, all the different ways it could happen, all the different ways it could work out, all the possibilities, all the infinite opportunities that are in this world, guess what you're doing? You're raising your level of awareness to all of the abundance, to all of the good, to all the potential, to all the possibilities. So it ultimately comes down to your attention, right? And so the whole reason this all came up is because I made a mistake today in one of my trades, and then the stock ended up doing good. And I had moved my stop loss, and then it stopped out, and then it went up like 30% today, right? So it's like, it's so easy to sit here and focus on it and be like, oh my gosh, like I messed up. I missed out on so much money. No. And it's like I still made so much money on that trade. But I was still focused on how I messed that up, how I did that. I wasn't focused on how much money I just made. I was focused on what I missed out on. When the amount of money I made was far greater than what I missed out on, right? But the thing is we want to focus on the bad. And so when you understand, okay, focusing on this, entertaining this idea, living in this situation is just going to make it happen over and over and over. It is going to bring more of the same. But if you focus on the good, right, because you understand everything happens for your greater good. Everything happens for the development of who you are. Whether you see it now or not, every single thing that happens in your life is a part of the puzzle to create the version of you that you want to create, right? So if you're on a journey to whatever it is, making a certain amount of money, building a business, buying a car, a house, whatever, these negative times, these horrible situations might come up. And you might be like, I don't even understand why this is happening. This is horrible. I hate this. And then I guarantee you in 3, 4, 5 years, you're going to look back and be like, I see exactly why that happened. I see the lesson I learned, and that truly shaped who I am today. Right? So you have to realize everything happens for your greater good, so you have to focus on the good. Right? So I learned a lesson from my mistake, and now I'm like, okay, I'm very grateful for the money I made. I'm grateful for the lesson that I learned. Move on. Right? And so it's obviously easier said than done because you want to look, you want to see. It's like, I don't know how to relate it to something if you're not trading. I guess if it's like if you had a girlfriend or a boyfriend and then you break up and you're constantly checking their social media, they have a new boyfriend or a new girlfriend. You're constantly checking it, and it's not helping anything. All it's doing is it's causing this negative emotion of anger or jealousy to grow within you, and it's just making everything worse, right? But you still want to check it. You still want to know what's going on. Same thing with the news. Looking at the news and looking at all the negative things that are happening, you looking at that will not help anything. And you want to look at it, you want to get mad, you want to talk about politics, you want to do all this stuff. It doesn't help anything. It's just causing this negative fire to grow within you. So once you realize that it's all just attention, and I didn't even know what I was going to talk about in this video. This is all like on the fly, and this is fire. So when you realize that it's all a matter of attention, then the question is, where is yours? What are you focusing on? What's your prized possession in life? Right? Are you only focused on one thing? And is that one thing what you want? Are you focused on a goal that's taking you where you want to go? Or are you focused on the negative things that are happening in your life? Are you focused on what you're not happy with? Are you focused on the bad? Right? And so this is like the best way I can relate this is if you are trying not to, like saying, oh, I'm not going to do this anymore. Right? And so your goal is to stop something, right? So if you're like, all right, you have a bad habit, say like, I don't know, binge eating, right? Let's say you're like, okay, I'm done doing this. I'm no longer going to do this. You setting a goal to stop something is going to, you're putting your attention, you're putting your focus on that problem, which is just causing the problem to grow. And you're going to keep doing it and keep doing it. But the second you say, okay, I understand I have this problem, I'm going to drop it and I'm going to focus on myself as the version of myself I want to be. I focus on myself not doing those things. I focus on myself eating the way I should, doing the things I should, working out the way I should, right? You focus on the good and you will get good. If you focus on trying to stop the bad, you'll get more bad. So you just need to realize that you need to focus on good, whatever it is, whether you want to make a bunch of money, whether you want to buy a new car, buy a new house, change your life, go to a new school. I don't know. There's infinite opportunities, infinite possibilities for everybody. But you must make sure that what you are focusing on is a positive thing. Because if you're focused on what you don't want, if you're focused on what you don't want to happen, if you're focused on what could go wrong, you are going to cause that to happen. But if you focus on all the ways things could work, all the ways things could work out, all the ways and opportunities there are in this world, and in the infinite number of supply of every single thing you could ever want, then you'll find the way, right? And so like Bob says, he says, never worry about how it's going to happen. Never worry about how it's going to happen. Just focus on the goal itself, right? Because if you freak out, if you set a goal, like you say, you want to make $100,000 in a month. If you set this goal and you're just like, well, how am I going to do that? Right? You're not. You're going to get stuck. But when you just focus and you see the goal, you see it, you see yourself living that life, you see yourself giving money to your family and your friends, you see yourself buying the new car, the new house, the new watch, whatever it is, you are raising your level of awareness because guess what? Your attention is swarming around this, right? So now this is a part of who you are. And so what is that doing? That is raising your awareness to that level so then God can give you the plans, the people, the opportunities, the actionable steps, whatever it is that you need to get there. But that doesn't happen unless you focus on it. So you have to focus. And you need to be conscious of what you're focusing on. You don't have time to focus on bad, right? Like the one thing I keep telling myself every time I catch myself doing this is worrying about it, stressing about it, fearing it, whatever it is, it never helps. It never causes anything good to happen. You are far better off saying, what lesson did I learn? And then feel grateful for the lesson and move on. Focus on the good. Focus on the good. Focus on the good. And it takes time, all right? You're going to have to train yourself to do this. But over time, you'll get better and better. And be like, okay, there is good in every situation, right? Like I was able to, when I saw the trade, it messed up, whatever, and then I was able to say, okay, I learned that I should not mess with my like stop losses or with my selling or anything in the morning, because I'm making the decision out of emotion based on what's happening. But when I do it at the end of the day, I'm doing it based off of what happened, right? So I'm able to look and say, okay, do I want to make any adjustments now? But in the moment, if it's going up or if it's going down, you're like, oh, it's going to go to the moon. If it's going down, you're like, wow, this is going to touch the bottom, right? So you're making these decisions out of emotion. So I learned this lesson. I said, okay, I'm done selling anything in the morning, right? You have your stop loss set, you have things set, you have everything ready to go, and I'll check it at the end of the day. Watching everything in between there is just going to hurt you. And so it's like, okay, I learned my lesson. Now I let go. It is what it is. And I know that lesson is going to be far more valuable than the money that I may have missed out on, right? Because I know that as I get better and better, as my account grows more and more, these lessons will be more and more expensive as I go. But with my account now, which will be the lowest it'll ever be because I'll continue to grow and grow and grow, all of a sudden, any lessons I learn now are cheap compared to myself in a year, 2 years, 3 years, 10 years, right? So be grateful. Say, wow, I'm grateful I learned this now. This cost me a few hundred. It could have cost me 10,000 in a few years, right? So ask yourself, what are you focusing on? Where is your attention going? What is controlling you? What is controlling your mind? Is it good? Is it bad? Is it nothing? Are you just thinking about social media and TikTok and, oh, what's going on this weekend? Are we going to party? What are you focusing on? Because if you don't know what you're focusing on, then you're probably not focusing on anything good. And then once you realize that your focus and your attention are everything, then you'll realize, okay, maybe I should be careful about what I'm focusing on. Maybe I should be more aware of what I'm focusing on. And then you're able to make these decisions of, okay, what am I doing that is messing up my attention, right? And that's why attention span is so important. That's why they want the short form content, because then all of a sudden you can't pay attention to anything. You probably can't even watch this whole video right now, right? Most people probably didn't make it this far. In fact, chances are no one did. So you realize that attention is everything, and that's why they don't want you to have it. That's why they want the short form content, because it fries your attention. So you need to protect it at all costs and say, okay, this attention is what determines my future. Whatever I focus on grows, right? Everyone has said, all the great thinkers and leaders have all said, you become what you think about, right? So what are they saying? Whatever you focus on, whatever your attention is on, is what you become. So you focus on the good, focus on the goal, right? If your goal is the 100K, 10K, 50K a month, whatever it may be, focus on that. And focus on all the ways it is possible, all the ways it can happen, all the opportunities that can come, all the great things that could come out of it. Don't spend a single second thinking, what if this happens? What if that happens? What if this happens? It doesn't matter. It won't happen unless you think about it. So focus on what can, right? Focus on what can happen for the good, right? How it can, I guess that's a better way to say it. How it can. And don't spend any time thinking about how it can't, right? That's the best way I can say it. Come up with your goal and make that your center focus, and you focus on how it can happen, and you don't spend a single second thinking about how it can't. Don't be like, oh, it's not realistic. Oh, it's not logical. Shut up. No, none of that. Just think about all the infinite opportunities. Okay, well, I could do this, and this, and what if I did this, and then if this happened and this happened, let yourself dream. Let yourself, oh, what if I hit this, and then this trade does this, and this does that? Yes. Like, you should be, because most people spend their time thinking about, oh, well, what if it falls this much, and I lose all this money, and right? They focus on all the what-ifs on the bad side. But when you start to focus on all the what-ifs on the good side, you'll find that all the what-ifs on the good side are happening to you, and the what-ifs on the bad side aren't happening, because you're not giving them any of your focus. So I think that's all for this video. My voice is getting tired, but yeah, so ask yourself, what am I focusing on? Where is my attention? And then ask yourself, what do I want to be focusing on? And then now your goal is to hold yourself accountable throughout every single day and make sure that you are focusing on what you want, focusing on the good, focusing on positivity, focusing on helping people, focusing on giving, focusing on living in harmony with the world, with the laws, with God, and not, not focusing on the negativity and what if this happens, what if that happens. Understand that no matter how bad the situation is, every single thing happens for your greater good and for your greater development. So don't stress if bad things are happening. If you look around you and it looks like a fire, great. Reject it, right? Right here. I literally reject the projection, right? So whatever's happening around you, it doesn't matter. It's a result of your past thinking. And right now you have the ability to change that. You have the ability to change the way you think, the way you feel, the way you act, and the habits you have. You have the power. I can't save you. No one else can save you. But I can tell you what to do, and you have to do it. So realize that you are in control of your attention. You are in control of your focus. You are in control of your thoughts. You are in control of your feelings. You are in control of your actions. You are in control of your habits. So if you want new results, if you want new results in your life, if you want change, if you want to grow, if you want to make more money, if you want to have more friends, if you want to, build a bigger business, if you want to buy more cars, you're going to need new thoughts, new feelings, new actions, and new habits. You need all of those. If you only have new thoughts, it won't work. If you only have new feelings, it won't work. If you only have new actions, it won't work. If you only have new habits, it won't work. You need all of them. You have to change the way you think, the way you act, the way you feel, the habits you have, and then things will change. So you take your actions while holding the image. This is sauce right here. While holding the image and feeling the feeling. This is how you cause the world to bend to your reality, right? Because if you are taking an action, right? So understand this from as if you're in a video game, right? And pretend like some character's in your game, and it's just Joe. He works at McDonald's, living a normal life, and he starts to take this action as a millionaire version of himself. He feels like a millionaire. He's thinking like a millionaire. He's acting like a millionaire. He has the habits of a millionaire. He may be living a normal life, but he has all of the pieces. You're going to be like, oh, whoa, yeah, he needs to go to the next level. He doesn't belong there. Right? And so that's what it is. You have to realize that you need to outgrow your situation by leveling up your frequency, which is your thoughts, feelings, actions, and habits. So you level up to this new level. You become this higher version of yourself, and you will move to higher places. If you don't become a higher version of yourself, you're going to stay in the same place or go lower. Because if you're not creating, you're disintegrating. You're either growing, you're either going forward, or you're going backward. There's no staying the same. So you take, this is the biggest key, is you take action, all actions, every single action you take throughout the day. You take the action while holding the image, right? So you can see it. Like right now, I could see $100,000. I could see it in my mind. I could see it. You can't see it. I can see it, right? That's why no one knows what you're truly thinking about. No one knows who you truly are because they don't know what you're thinking about. But I can see it, right? So I'm holding the image, and then you feel gratitude. That's the feeling part of it. Because now what's happening? You're taking an action while holding the vision, while feeling gratitude. So you're saying, God, look, this is what I want. I'm grateful that it's coming, and I'm moving in that direction. He's like, here you go. Literally, here you go. You can have it. But what people do is they either take an action, they go study the mindset stuff, and then they go take the action. Or they study the mindset stuff and they don't take the actions. But once you combine both, once you combine the thoughts, the feelings, and the actions, and I know I said both, but I really just mean thoughts and feelings and then the action. And then the habits, right? So you kind of have thoughts, feelings, actions, and habits. So this is spiritual, intellectual, and this is the physical world. So once you combine them and you're using them together is when things will change. If you start taking all these new actions, but you're still coming from a place of lack and limitation, you're not going to get new results. But if you start taking these actions as your higher self, as your millionaire self, your whatever you want to be, your higher level of yourself, all of a sudden your results will change because your thoughts, your feelings, and your actions and your habits are all changing. So ask yourself, what should I be thinking about? How should I be thinking as this version of myself? How should I feel, right? If I'm a millionaire, how would I feel? You'd probably feel abundant. You'd feel relieved. You'd feel successful. You'd feel confident, right? How would I act? What actions would you have, right? You'd probably be really kind to people. You would probably get up early, right? You're probably not going to be scrolling TikTok all day. You're probably, you can, although you won't know exactly what habits you would have, you can kind of say, okay, I probably wouldn't be doing this, and I probably would be doing this. And you make this image of yourself, and you say, what habits would he have, right? What time would I be waking up? What would be the first thing I did in the morning, right? You ask yourself all these things. You create this character, and then you say, that's me. And you live as that person. So I hope this helps, and I will catch you guys in the next video.